2 years later, mid-spring. Merlin's beard. I'm finished. Angelique Potter pushed away her books and leaned back in her desk. 2 years had already gone by for her, and she had earned herself quite a reputation among the students and teachers. She was by far the youngest prodigy child in the school's book. She had high grades, good attitude, and she outshined most of the 6th-year students in their scores. Angelique Potter was 13, and yet she felt as if she had the mind of a 50-year-old college professor who spent years sticking his nose into books but easily absorbs the knowledge like a sponge. She loved her school, her books, but she mostly loved her music. She found Mull music quite enthralling and relaxing, especially Bach and Beethoven. Her parents of course didn't give a damn. All she got from them were a few letters about Charlie and Abby but nothing on her grades or her accomplishments as the school's top student. Remus of course sent her candies and letters congratulating her on everything, as did Abby, who actually sent her small presents for her birthday and Christmas. Angelique did the same. She sent them both gifts, but she often sent Remus money since he had it hard. He had little employment, but at least he had a roof over his head thanks to Angelique. She bought him a small house in the country and kept the deed in his name, plus she sent him a monthly allowance each. Angelique had taken full access to the family vaults, and she made sure if by some chance she was disowned, which she likely wouldn't ever be, that she would still have had full access to the main vault. She had checked to see if Charlie was actually the firstborn twin, but of course that was wrong too, just like him being the boy who lived. Her birth certificate stated that she was the firstborn twin. Charlie came 20 minutes after her. This meant she could emancipate herself whenever she wished, but she wouldn't do so unless she had pure reason, and despite the fact she was ignored, she wasn't abused and neither was Abby. James and Lily lied. They knew Angelique was the firstborn, but they thought just because Charlie was a boy and showed the first spark of magic they could call him the boy who lived. True, he survived that night with Angelique, but Angelique's magic was stronger because it was scientifically proven in Mull and Wizard child studies that girls mature faster than boys, plus she had the scar, but just because Charlie was a boy they still held on to the fact that he might be better than her. It was funny though. When Angelique went home the first year for the holidays, she had gotten gifts from Remus and Abby, and her headmistress, but of course nothing from James, Lily, Sirius, or Charlie. She didn't care, because after Christmas, before she went to Gringotts with Remus and set up her own account. That was how she had everything done. True, she had a vault of her own that would be available when she turned 17, but she needed money for her schooling and she wanted to help Remus. James and Lily were oblivious of course, otherwise they would have seen that Angelique had bits of the Potter family fortune put into her vault every month. They would get along though. James and Sirius were both Raz, and Lily, well, she was a stay-home mom but she hung out with her friends a lot. Abby had gotten more attention from them, but of course Charlie didn't give a damn while he was at school. By this time next year Abby would begin school, but she was still undecided, and she had too been accepted at the academy, but she was also accepted at Hogwarts. She had time though, the rest of the year and all summer. Time to get ready. Angelique was due to visit the headmistress's office. Apparently she was being offered an opportunity, a big one. Apparently a visit from a friend, an important one all the way from England, was interested in her based upon the review Malcolm had sent him. She had to get going, so after Angelique put away her books and work, she quickly slipped on her school uniform and grabbed her wand. She pulled her hair back into a low ponytail, but of course she was still planning to change her appearance when she could, and she had an idea in mind. It would wait though, right now she had to leave. As she walked down the hall, multiple students stared at her. No one hated her, but not everyone liked her, probably because they were jealous she was so smart. She tutored others in her free time, but she was still disliked by a lot, mainly the older ones, but they didn't bother her because she didn't try to outshine them outside the class. "Hi Angelique." Kate and Marcy waved at her in the hall. "Hi girls." They weren't best friends, but they were nice to each other. "Here we are." The walk was a quick one, because the halls could shift when you sought out the headmistress's office for a legitimate reason, from one path to another. She knocked, and the large wooden door opened. Miss Potter, please come in." Headmistress Malcolm wasn't alone. In fact, she had a guest. A tall man wearing long dark robes with shoulder-length shiny black hair, pale skin, onyx eyes, and one unfortunately large nose, but it wasn't that big. "Good afternoon, Headmistress. May I ask who this is?" She looked at the man. "Miss Potter, this is Professor Severus Snape. He's come all the way from England to see you." "See me? Whatever for?" She suddenly caught herself. "Oh, sorry, forgotten my manners. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor Snape, but if I may ask, why have you come all the way out here?" "Allow me, Severus. Miss Potter, Severus is a dear friend of mine and I have asked him here to offer you the chance of a lifetime." "I'm afraid I don't follow. Do you remember that test you took the other week?" Angelique nodded. "Did you by any chance see any difference between it and the other tests you've taken?" "Actually yes, it was more challenging, but I feel as if I did well." Malcolm smiled. "That's because, my dear, it was the graduation exam." Angelique's eyes widened. "You see, your teachers have been puzzled by the fact that you learned so much in so little time that we wanted to see if you truly belonged here. You are our top student, Angelique, so bright that we feel you must seek opportunities elsewhere. That is where I came in." Professor Snape spoke up. His voice was low yet mature. "I have seen your scores, Miss Potter, and I must say out of every student I've taught at Hogwarts you are by far the brightest I have seen." Angelique froze. "Miss Potter? Hogwarts? You teach at Hogwarts?" Angelique looked back at Malcolm. "Are you saying I should transfer, Headmistress?" "No, my dear, you see, since you passed the graduation exam with such a high score, I'm letting you graduate early. You could take any job you choose as soon as you are of age, but for now I was thinking that you would take an apprenticeship with Professor Snape." "Apprenticeship? I want to become a healer, Headmistress." "Ah yes, but you have already taken your medical course and your potion skills are astounding. Professor Snape would help you reach far better goals as a healer, my dear. He is by far the greatest potions master in all of England. He even rivals some of our top masters here. Simply saying that you will be the youngest witch in our world to graduate from school and earn your mastery in potions and healing. You are far too intelligent to be in school any longer, Miss Potter. You do surprise me. You are far more intelligent than I would have thought." This man surprised her to great lengths. "Thank you, Professor, and I will say your offer is something that I would no doubt accept. However, I must think this over before I give a definite answer. How long will you be here?" "I am here for the next few days, but I would like an answer soon." His tone turned stern. "Understandable. I will let you know by tonight, after dinner. Will that suffice?" "That will do." "Wonderful, and if I may ask, Professor, my brother, Charles Potter, he is one of your students, correct?" Professor Snape frowned. "He is, though he does not understand the art potion making." Angelique frowned with him. "He has the intelligence of a Scret, let me guess, just slightly above average?" Onyx's eyes rolled in annoyance. "Yes, but he is an arrogant, spoiled ingrate." "I agree. Now I sadly must go. I like to entertain myself with the piano around this time. Once again it was good meeting you, Professor." They shook hands. "It was a pleasure to meet you as well, Miss Potter. I will see you both tonight then." Angelique left the office feeling a swirl of emotions flowing through her body. Shock, happy, surprise, wow, and of course disdain. Going to Hogwarts as a top apprentice under Severus Snape, which would be a good opportunity for her and a good chance to show everyone she was in fact far smarter and better than her foolish twin. She didn't know Professor Snape though, but she could see despite his rugged exterior he seemed intelligent and tough, but fair. She would consider it, but for now, she needed her piano. Music calmed her mind, and helped her think more clearly. She would definitely have her answer tonight. Angelique, there you are. Angelique stopped when she heard her music teacher, Professor Arnold Baggs, come over to her. Professor Baggs, can I help you? He smiled at her. I was actually coming to congratulate you. Headmistress Malcolm has told the entire staff that you, my dear, have passed the graduation exam with the possible highest score any of us has ever seen. Yes, she just told me. I cannot say I'm surprised. I figured you would do well. He smiled. Are you going to leave? I'm thinking about it right now. I haven't decided yet. Ah well. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Angelique hated it when he touched her. Something about him just seemed off. It always did. I do hope you make the right choice for yourself. He smiled again, and as soon as he was out of earshot, Angelique brushed off the feeling of disgust after his hand touched her. Enough. I need my music now. She needed to relax, then she would make her choice. Some hours later. Music room, 8:15 p.m. Angelique had been in the music room for hours now, but she hadn't started playing the piano until maybe an hour ago. She had been trying to wrap her mind around everything: graduating early, becoming the youngest witch to graduate in many years at the age of 13, becoming an apprentice to a top potions master, but most of all lowering her family to the state of dirt where they truly belonged, except Abby, of course. She finally started playing, and the music. Beethoven's Feuerlese began to work its way into her nerves. After she played that, she played Bach's Prelude in C major, Moonlight Sonata, and then went along to some traditional music which was quite relaxing. She loved music. It was an escape for her brain. Angelique was so engrossed her music that she failed to hear the classroom door open and the sound of footsteps enter the room until she sensed a presence behind her and stopped. Turning around, she saw it was Professor Baggs, much to her dismay. You missed dinner, Angelique. Is everything all right? He approached slowly. Yes, I was playing so much I suppose I lost track of time. Sorry, Professor. Oh no, it's quite all right. I understand. I've had my fair share of skipping meals in my life. He cleared his throat. Now, have you decided what you're going to do? She sighed. She had decided moments ago. I have, and I'm going to take up that apprenticeship. He frowned. I feel it is a chance to open new doors for myself. She stood to get up, but he stopped her. Do you really feel that's best, my dear? I mean, I know you don't have that many friends, but a lot of us would miss you. He walked closer, too close. I would miss you. I would miss you as well, sir, but if the opportunity comes knocking on my door I must answer. An old mule saying. I'm sorry, sir, but I must take this. She tried to get up again, but once again he stopped her. Sir, please, I have to go. What's the rush? Dinner is already over. Yes, but I don't want to get into trouble past curfew. Now please let me pass. That time his hand was on her shoulder again. Angelique, I do not wish for you to leave. She tried to break loose, but his grip tightened. You are not only my favorite student, dear girl. You are so beautiful. He panted the last word and his other hand was on her shoulder. Sir, this is very inappropriate. She would try to reason away, but that went out when he gripped her wrists in one hand and restrained them above her head. Get off. Oh my dearest Angelique, how I've longed for this moment. He stroked his fingers down her cheek. I don't want you to go, I need you and I know that you need me. He whispered huskily into her ear. Angelique felt a sense of disgust overcome her, worse than the one she felt hours ago. Let go of me. She struggled, but he straddled her legs on both sides of his waist. She felt something hard against her skirt, and it made her want to vomit. Bag's hand went over her chest, touching her boobs and moving under her shirt to grope them. So soft, so round. He panted and then moved his hand to her thigh, stroking the skin underneath. Oh, my treasure. He whispered again before his fingers went into her panties and touched her most sacred spot. They started to rub, and Angelique felt her magic blast through her veins. You're so wet for me, Angelique. Said. Get off. Angelique's magic increased again, but she couldn't see straight as Bag's fingers worked their way into her. Oh, so hot, my lord would be so pleased. A snap was heard in Angelique's mind, and with a hot wave of magic overflowing her, she opened her mouth wide. Get off me. Her magic reacted with her voice, and Bags was instantly thrown across the room into the wall. A sickening crack was heard when his head hit the stone, and a thud when his body hit the floor. Angelique regained her senses, and realized she just killed a man. But to be sure, she approached him carefully and checked his pulse. He was dead. She remembered him saying his lord would be pleased, and froze slightly. What's going on in here? The deep voice of Professor Snape was heard, and the man walked through the door with Headmistress Malcolm and her secretary, wands drawn. Miss Potter. She acted quick and checked his arms, and found the offending mark. A skull with a snake coming out of the mouth, the mark of a Death Eater. She knew about the mark because last summer she looked into James' old files of Death Eaters imprisoned after the war, along with a sketch of the dark mark. Professor Snape. She looked up at him. What happened in here? Malcolm checked Bag's pulse. He's dead. He tried to rape me. They stared at her in horror, and then Snape looked closely at Bag's face. I knew he looked familiar. He's an undercover Death Eater. He looked to Malcolm. I will inform the Aurors, and I will contact Mr. Lupin. No. They looked back to Angelique. Don't speak of this to anyone. Miss Potter will do. Angelique shook her head. Tell the Aurors, but not Remus. I don't want this to get out. Why? He's dead. If the Aurors want the truth, they can have my memories, but no one, not my family, must know about this. Miss Potter. Headmistress, please, keep this between us. They all exchanged looks, but Malcolm nodded. Professor Snape, I accept your offer. He looked at her strangely, but nodded. When are you due to leave? The day after tomorrow. That should give me plenty of time to pack, but there's something else I must do before we leave. She finished for him, but after she spoke she saw he hated being interrupted. And what is that? I'm changing my look. I won't do anything too drastic, but I will not go back looking like this. She flung her hair, as if trying to swat a bug. And I'm updating my wardrobe. Very well, I will come to collect you when you are ready. And I will give you your diploma in the morning, my dear Angelique. I am very sorry this happened to you. Malcolm's voice was deep with sincerity and sympathy. It's not your fault, Headmistress. He's not a problem anymore. Angelique hadn't meant to kill him, but she couldn't let him hurt anyone else. Okay, I will summon the Aurors, and it's best we all get our stories straight. They all went about, and Angelique made herself a note to pay a visit to the beauty shop in town first thing in the morning. The next day. All right then, Miss Potter, you are finished. The hairdresser, Madame Regina Bloom, was an expert witch on changing magical hair and a top makeover artist. Angelique came in with a request, and she was more than happy to oblige if she had the money. Take a good look. She turned her around to look in the mirror, and if you saw Angelique before you wouldn't recognize her unless you saw the scar. Angelique's waist-long, dark red wavy hair was now jet black, with beautiful purple streaks. It was now just past her shoulders, layered with the ends curled towards Angelique's face. Her makeup was natural yet gothic, purple eyeshadow with black eyeliner and mascara, and dark brown lipstick. She may only be 13, but she would be 14 this coming July. Do you like it? Her assistant, Alicia Marker, asked with a broad smile. Love it. You ladies are miracle workers. Thank you very much. Now remember, this is permanent unless you have it changed back. Now your eyes, we cannot exactly change your biological color, but we can do is give you these. Regina held out a case of magic-colored contacts. They will not hurt your eyes, they are only for show, but they will likely increase your vision. They will change my eye color? Yes, to any color you wish. You can change the color by your own will, and here." She handed her a code of colors for the contacts. The colors were almost every color in the book, but the ones that caught her eye were the turquoise, honey, and amethyst. "These won't hurt my eyes?" Aegina shook her head. "I'll take them. How much?" "They are free with your makeover. They last a lifetime too." Angelique let them put them in, and the first color she changed her dark brown eyes was amethyst to match her hair. "You are by far our best customer." "Thank you very much. How much is this?" 10 galleons, my dear." Angelique paid her and left a good tip for them both. "Now then, Miss Potter, what are you going to do now?" Angelique gave a large smile looking at her reflection once more. "I'm going shopping. I am going to update my wardrobe." "Go for it, girl." Alicia cheered. As Angelique left the shop, she spotted none other than Professor Snape waiting for her outside. "Did he know she was here?" "Professor Snape. I was in the apothecary next door when I saw you through the windows. I must say, Miss Potter, that is quite a change." "Is it too much?" He shook his head. "Your looks don't have anything to do with my opinion." "Well, I have shopping to do. Would you like to accompany me, or should I meet you back at the academy?" "I will meet you back there. I trust you will do fine on your own?" She nodded. "Then I shall meet you later." "Good day, Professor." He nodded and left down the street. Angelique disregarded him showing up so suddenly, and just went along until she came across a Gothic boutique. This makeover was the beginning of a new life for her. Well, a second beginning. She was now a graduate of the American Academy, she was an apprentice to a top professor, and she was going back home an entirely new person. She did know one thing though, Bags was only the start of her real enemies. He was dead, but there would be more to come soon enough.